So this is the little Byebrook River that runs through Castle Combe. Very nice old bridge here. Difficult to tell how old it is. Has the classic arches there. Can we see evidence of red brick here? See a bit of carbon 14. This looks like red brick here. But then on this side it doesn't. You can see the brick wall. And we can see the classic roots, the root systems that I was talking about in previous videos, where the roots show that it's growing over the stone embankments. So on that side of the river you can see it's stone all the way along. All the way along it's stone. The riverbed is very, very flat all the way along for miles, like ridiculously flat, often with a carpet of stone. And then on this side of the river you can see that the river is actually has built up banks. So the banks are built up with stone all the way along. You can just see it underneath the grass, and that continues all the way along. So the whole river, the whole Byebrook River, all the way to the Mott and Bailey, is manufactured, I would say. Fortified and manufactured. So this wall shows some evidence of heat damage. You can see it at the top. And then again, the roots growing over the top of the stonework. And as we walk along, we'll see more and more of that from the side. So up the sides of the hill there, we see where we walked earlier on in the previous video. And on the other side too, on the east and the west side, we'll see that it's built up. Really spooky sign here. Castle Combe. And then we'll see on the other side of the river the roots growing over the top of the stonework all the way along. So there's obviously a period where it wasn't maintained and the roots were just allowed to grow over the stonework. But you can see the stonework underneath the roots in places. So an insane amount of work gone into maintaining or creating this river, which is unbelievably flat and even at the bottom all the way along. And then the stonework that you can see. All along the river banks. So I would suggest that go and search in your nearby rivers and streams and see if you can find evidence of maintained rivers. So again, you can see the difference between the houses down here made of a similar kind of stone, and then the hills on either side of the valley, which, as I've shown, are made up of brickwork. You can see how high up we were there. It's a good 100 feet perhaps, maybe 50 to 100 feet above the level we're at now. And it seems to have protected the river from a potential mud flood. You can see in places the river banks have broken down a little bit. And then these tiny doorways. So this is a tiny doorway. My head is about up to here. Tiny little hobbit doorways. So I think there must have been some mud flooding. I mean, this one's just ridiculous how small it is. This is where my head is, about there. So again, the similar kind of brickwork that we see on either side, and right up the top there I've been scrambling up those banks and found evidence of the brickwork all the way up the side of Castle Combe on either side, that to me proves that there's a very good argument that the whole of Castle Combe is the castle, or the Mott and Bailey, whatever you want to call it, and the whole thing's been constructed, and perhaps those castle walls protected it from a mud flood, because it looks like mud did come over the top and cascade down. I think there was at least 2 or 3 levels of wall. but this was a pocket of survival, and the houses here, most of them, I think, are pockets of survival. See, someone's tried to fix that wall with more modern. You can see the different colours of the brickwork there, the stonework. But all the way along, you can see the old stonework all the way along we've been walking on. And then also, as we come into the village, if you Google Castle Combe, this will be one of the classic views that you see. So the meltology people would have you believe that these were probably old red brick. I'm just not sure about that. I'm just not sure that that's really the case. Got a really interesting bridge here with ironwork on it. And then little holes in the wall, which I'm not really quite sure what they were for. Little steps that come down. And then in here's the big manor house, the big spooky manor house. Go look at the logo. Looks like a lion, some kind of fleur-de-lis. And then again the flat riverbed, just really flat. Looks almost cobbled if you look at the stonework. Looks almost cobbled all the way along. Does anyone know why some of these churches have one corner of the tower that's higher than the others? How did that work with Antiquitech? Castle Combe's quite unique that they haven't allowed modern technology on top of their buildings. I don't think they've left the old tech there, but they haven't allowed the modern stuff. So as some of you may have seen it in films, it's often used as a film set. I'm just going to walk along here and let you look at some of the brickwork. Some of you meltologists can do your own math on the brickwork. See, for instance, those look like red bricks. A mixture of wood, got wood lintels with stone windows. Just interesting brickwork. Just higgledy-piggledy. Was it built from ruins? Just really hard to know. How old is it? Really hard to know. I think it's pre-1800 some of this village. Mixture of ages. Maybe remnants of something that was left standing and then rebuild. Possibly, maybe the mud flood did knock down the buildings and it was dug out. Really tiny doorways and then low down windows. These windows are so low down. So this is at my head height, that's my head height, and there's the window. So difficult to know. We walked along top there in the previous video. Not seen evidence of red brick. Not seen much evidence of melting. It's a really interesting little pyramid structure here in the middle of the road. And this ancient monument obelisk thing behind that car. And this got replaced, I think. They covered this up so you couldn't even see inside, whatever they did here. This top bit's been replaced. This top bit, you can Google that and look at old versions of it and it looks completely different. So I don't know if they replaced this bit as well. They would have had to make a cast of the old bit. Not sure if they wanted to take that, but it does look like they kind of removed it. This is a pyramid structure here. No real explanation. Another pyramid structure here. Don't know how deep that goes. The spooky old church with the Antiquitech at the top. An old water system here. And then no real explanation of what this ancient monument was, what it was for, why it was there. Yeah, a real bodge job done on the repair. This bit they replaced, no idea why, but they must have taken it, and I would hazard a guess they took the whole thing and just left the replacement. Bits of ironwork in there. But yeah, it looks like they messed this up. Not sure. We're going to walk up and we'll link up back with where the last video was. See, there's bits of woodwork there. But yeah, the locals and tourists are never directed up to the real castle in Castle Combe, the castle up on the golf course. As is fairly typical for golf courses, they seem to cover up ancient stuff. I'm just going to walk down this little alley. It says private drive, but give it a shot. Notice how it seems mud flooded. Low down windows. And then up there was the wall we walked along right at the top there. Yeah, definitely worth a visit. Very well preserved village, and a lot more going on beneath the surface than is commonly advertised, which again is a little bit of a clue. The fact they don't advertise where the actual castle is. I can't take you there today because the golf course reopened after COVID. I really like this archway here. I'm sure I've seen videos on that kind of work before. But that looks like a pocket of survival from the previous age. And then stucco or whatever they call that work. It's obviously modern, and now we're going to connect back up to the walls alongside the road that we saw previously. This kind of completes the circle from the previous video. You can see the walls hiding behind the work here. Seems to connect to the underground drainage. And then these walls, which look quite well maintained. As we saw earlier on, when we start walking up this bankment up here, we start seeing them go much higher up, all the way up. So a phenomenal amount of stonework, like phenomenal. Definitely worthy of something on a plaque saying there are estimated to be 2 million pieces of separate stone, or however many it is. I'd estimate probably more. But just a phenomenal amount of stonework in Castle Combe. It's everywhere you look, either side of the road. I'm going to end the video where we walked up off the road previously, when we walked up that path with stone either side, because this kind of completes a little loop, one of the loops you can do. You can still see that we've got the classic roots over the top of the wall. The clue that maybe will help you guys find something similar around you. Because, as I've said, this ancient world is everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. So that's double my height, and that's now triple my height pretty much. It's must be about 20 feet there. 20 feet up, and again, this will all be wall underneath here. And again, on this side, again, all wall, being covered over by the roots, obviously, but underneath it all is wall. Again, other side of the road, wall, like a lintel rock there. Other side, wall, collapsed walls. Tree roots growing over wall. Trees growing over the wall. Garden on top of this wall. And then here's where we went up the path, and another one of those creepy signs. I'll see you guys next time. Just a quick addendum to that video. I thought it was the end of the video, but I spotted an upturned route and clambered up from the road to the other side of the hill where I hadn't given you evidence of the brick wall going all the way up, and here it is. I scrambled up, and here's the evidence that I'd already found previously. Now this is a good 30, 40, 50 feet above the road, and just a random evidence of the brick wall, which is clearly brick wall. It's not natural. And it runs all the way alongside here, and then there's a top plateau there, which was the field with the horse on that we saw in one of the previous videos. There's a top plateau where the golf course is, and then the road's back down there, and then right the way up to the other side again is wall all the way up, because we showed you that when we walked up the path where the free range children's sign is. We walked up the path and we could see it was walls either side going all the way up. So it's colossal amount of brickwork and walls going all the way around Castle Combe, forming an insanely big motte and bailey. Far epic scale than mainstream evidence will, or mainstream narrative will admit. What a beautiful area, definitely worth a visit. But as I said, go to anywhere nearby where you are, any park, any golf course, and just do some digging. The ancient world's right beneath our feet, guys.